V'tama davar. And the reason for the thing, we are now in the Maimer, Tavshin Beit, Moshe Kibel Torah Misinai. Ma Tanaim v'Amoraim. Why is it that the Tanaim and the Amoraim are called Eitanim, are called the ancient ones? Lifi, because She'em Abale Kabbalah, because they receive Ish mi pi ish, one from the other, from Moshe Rabbeinu. That Moshe received the Torah from Sinai. Bakal Prat Yadinim, in all the details. Okay. Amazing. The Torah has been passed down from Moshe, from generation to generation. Tremendously complicated Torah. The written Torah is complicated, and the explanation is 1,000 times more complicated. And nevertheless, this has been passed down from generation to generation. One of the main passers down, the ones who wrote the Mishnah, that's called the Tanaim. It says in the Talmud, it's in Avodah Zorah, it says that every one of those Tanaim, even the last generations, which are the lowest, the least holy, spiritual, whatever, they had the power to raise the dead. They had the power to raise the dead. Each and every one of them. The stories, how they did it. But they didn't want to change nature. I mean, there's religions that are based on people that they claim that they raised the dead, one dead person, something like that. Here we have each and every one of these people could actually have the power to raise the dead, and there's stories about how they did it. Right? It was not a favorable thing to do, to interfere with God's plan of the creation, but they could do it.
Tell one?
What?
Can you please tell a story like that?
The classic story where we see that it says that they could do it was that Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi is also sometimes just called Rebbe. He used to go all the time to see Antoninus, the king. But the king didn't want him to know that he had this Jewish friend. It was an embarrassment, the king. Was the king. So the king had this tunnel that would go from Rebbe's house to his palace. And he would send 2 guards to bring Rebbe from his house to the palace. And he would have these guards killed so that they wouldn't tell. And then he would have 2 more guards escort Rebbe back to his house. And when they came back, they would also be killed. It works something like that. It happened that when Rebbe brought some of his pupils also with him to see the king. And one of the pupils went out to go to the bathroom or something, and he saw one of the guards that had brought him, he saw him laying there dead. He had been killed, and the ones who killed him didn't have a time to take the body away. So he was afraid that people would say that the Jews killed him. You understand the story so far?
Yeah.
And he brought him back to life. He brought this dead guard back to life. When the king was escorting Rebbe, he saw the same guard was standing there, and he said, "What's going on? Wasn't he killed?" And he said, other guard said, "I killed him. I don't know what you're talking about." He said, "Well, one of the pupils of Rebbe said, I have to admit I did it. I was afraid." So the king said, "I see that the least of you," Rebbe was the last generation, it says, of Tanaim, "the least of you has the power to raise the dead." So it says a story. Okay, how you do it, I don't know. Nowadays, raising the dead is done, it's a little more common, raising the dead. Dead is when a person goes only according to his intellect. Then he's dead. He's not excited about Judaism, he's not excited about anything. And making that person excited about Judaism, excited about God, excited about the truth, excited about life, excited, feeling the challenge of making this world a perfect place, as that's called livening the dead. That's the purpose of Chassidut. Okay. Okay. So that's why they're called the Eitanim. First word on the line. Lifi, because she'em bali Kabbalah, because they receive ish mi pi ish, one from the other, a chain from Moshe Rabbeinu. These people were really, really serious about the truth. And they wanted to know exactly what every word of the Torah meant and what it implied. Just a short innuendo over here. Okay, Herschel, one of the big differences between Judaism and all the other religions is that Judaism is the only religion that has such a thing as called mitzvahs, commandments. None of the other religions in the whole world have commandments. They have their rituals, they have their heritage, they have their holidays. But here, with Jewish people, we claim that we have commandments given to us directly from God that we have been keeping for 3,300 years. Commandments given directly by God to all the Jewish people. All the Jewish people saw it, face to face. Eye to eye, like it says. So these are commandments. A person, when he does a commandment, he's doing what God wants right now. There's no such thing, but you have to know what to do. You have to know what to do. And you have to know that it really was God that really said it. You're not just doing it because Shammai said or Hillel said. So these people have to be people that were so devoted to God that they didn't care anything about themselves whatsoever. All they cared about is what God wanted. And they passed down to the generations after them. Moshe, they received person from person, Mimoshe, Shekibel at Torah, that he received the Torah, Misinai, Bekal Prati Adinim, in all of the details. Okay, Herschel. Hine, Lichaora, at first glance, Hayu Tzarichim, it was necessary, Likvoa Mishnah Zu, to put this Mishnah, B'techilat Mishnayot. This should have been put in the beginning of all of the Mishnayot. There are 6 tractates of 6 orders of the Mishnayot. 6 orders, you know that. 6 orders of the Mishnayot. It starts with the laws of agricultural laws, right? Then there's laws about the holidays. Then there's laws about women. Then there's laws about damages. Then there's laws about the holy temple and sacrifices and impurity and purity and impurity. Right at the beginning of the Mishnayot should have been set this basic sentence over here, where we got the whole thing from, right? Pirkei Avot is talking about the Torah, and it gives laws about the Torah. Very nice, but Pirkei Avot is talking about ways to act, ethics, meanings, of values, right? Day-to-day things. It's not talking about laws. Pirkei Avot is not talking about laws. Pirkei Avot is written in the tractate of Nezikin, of damages, which is like way after the middle of the 6 orders of Mishnayot. This Mishnah talking about where we got the Torah from and how it was given down to us, the beginning of the Mishnah, which is the oral Torah, this should be right at the beginning. This should be the introduction, where we got it from. Why did God decide that this Mishnah should be stuck in the middle of the whole order of Mishnayot after we learned about the agricultural laws and the women laws and things? All of a sudden it's put way in the end. This is the thing we should know immediately. Right? Why? Ulama kava'ua, and why was it set? Here we go. Okay. Why was it set? Let's see. Good. Inyane midot v'hanagot. Why was it said in the beginning of Pirkei Avot that does not talk about any laws? It only talks about proper attitudes and proper ways of acting and proper ways of thinking. Right? Pirkei Avot. There are no laws whatsoever in Pirkei Avot. This is, at first glance, it should be like this. This is the way things should be. According to logic, this particular Mishnah, Moshe received the Torah from Mount Sinai, that should be right at the beginning of the 6 orders of the Mishnayot, to tell you where they came from. And this, ideas about acting properly and greeting everyone nicely and being honest and being a hard worker, that should be at the end. Because the whole purpose of the Mishnayot is to tell you what the laws are. That's the main thing. And at the very end, put also the way you should act. You should act nice, be a nice person. Right? Like if you go to business school. What do they teach you? They teach you business out of it. And also, in the end, they teach you, listen, how to be a pleasant person, how to be nice to your workers, how... Right? They mention it maybe a little bit in the middle, but the main thing of a business class or the business school, or if you want to go to the medical school, so they don't teach you how to be a nice person, a nice doctor. They teach you what to do, where the heart is, where the lungs are. The same thing the Mishnah is. The Mishnah is very, very mechanical. It's teaching you exactly what to do, right? What to do. If so, why are these laws here? Why are these laws of proper conduct and proper, values, right? Why is that preceded by Moshe Kibel Torah Misinai? By this so important sentence telling us where the whole of Mishnah come from. You understand? Huh? Or no?
Yeah.
But it's like this. Why is this sentence, Moshe Kibel Torah Misinai, why is it not put in the beginning of the Mishnayot? Why is it put over here in the middle, right before the laws of how to act and how to be a nice person and how to be honest? Why? The Inyan is like this. Tehi anotenet, that this is self-understood. The davka b'mesechet zu, that only in this mesechet of Pirkei Avot, the rov iska hi b'inyan yamidos, is in the talking about emotion, talking about proper conduct. Laharchik et menuga guna, to keep away from what is ugly, ulekanot, and to acquire et meula, that which is good. Hine kan davka, here specifically kavo mishnah zu. We set this mishnah. What this mishnah that introduces the whole entire Talmud. Moshe Kibel Torah Misinai, that Moshe receives the Torah from Sinai. Kamosh Gatuv Rav Avadia Bar Tanura, Lomer Lecha. See where we are? You want to see what?
Yeah.
Lomer Lecha. Here we have 5 lines down. Lomer Lecha, to say to you, She Amidot V'Amosurim She Bezeh Mesechet, that these ideas and this advice that the rabbis are giving us about life, lo badu. See where we're at? The first word in the line is Masechet. See? 6 lines down.
Yeah,
Lo badu did not, what's badu mean? Invent. Otam chachmei Mishnah, the wise men of the Mishnah did not invent them milibam, from their heart. Ella af elu, but also these, nemru, were said b'Sinai. Namely who? Mimish and nigla misinai, from the one that was revealed at Mount Sinai. So this Moshe Kibel Torah Misinai should have been in the beginning of the Mishnayot. But it's not in the beginning of the Mishnayot. It's in the beginning of all this advice that's given by the rabbis. Why? To show that this advice, first of all, is very important, and also to show that this advice was not just from their life experience. That this is advice given to them by God also. Umimotze davar, so in conclusion, ata shomea, you can learn, yesh, that there is, yitron mala, an advantage, and be'inyan avodah, in the service, the tikkun hamidos, of fixing up your personality. Liot, because ki, that klalot inyan, the whole topic of Torah and commandments, who is bishvil, in order, birur hamidot, to fix up your emotions, vitikonen, and vitikunan, and to rectify them. Kamaimer, like it says, lo nitna mitzvot, the commandments were only given, ella, except litzaref, to refine bohem et abriot, the creations. What does it mean? What are emotions? Emotions are how you are affected by the world, right? A person can give a lecture He gives a lecture about the anger control, how it's a terrible thing to get angry. And while he's standing on the stage and he's, ruling over everything and he's the boss, he's the nicest, kindest person in the world. Right? But if someone in the audience stands up and starts to interfere, starts to disturb him, it could be that he'll yell at that person. But maybe he won't yell at him because it's not nice in front of all these people. But if afterwards, when he's driving home and somebody cuts him off and then he's alone, then all of a sudden he goes wild. Right? What happened? What happened to it? Because he's not really with God. In other words, he really feels that he's the boss. That's supposed to be the purpose of the Torah. The purpose of the Torah is that you learn the Torah and you feel that God is really the Melech Olam. We say it 100 times every day. He's the king of the universe. Hine, behold, Tachlit, the purpose, Yuridat of the descent, Haneshama of the soul, Lamata below, Shehi Yerida Gedola, which is a tremendous descent, Va'atsuma, and powerful, Bima'od, he it is, Levarer, to refine, Ulezachech, and to clear at the Nefesh Abahamit, the animal soul. The reason that we are down here in the world is in order to refine our personality and in order that we should refine, through that, refine the world. It's like a wood chopper. If his hatchet isn't sharp, he can't do his work. The same thing, a Jew. We're in the world in order to fix the world up. If we aren't fixed up ourselves, we can't do the job. Therefore, we have to, correct ourselves in such a way that we're attached to the Creator. That we think all the time, what does the Creator want? What was the Creator? If a person really believed in the Creator, then he would never get angry. He would never be depressed. Okay, Herschel. He would never steal, lie, cheat. If a person really believed in the Creator. I think we talked about this a lot of times. It says the thief, before he goes to steal, he prays to God for success. You heard about that. You ever hear that? So what's wrong with him? He believes in God, but he doesn't believe enough in God. If he would really believe enough in God, then he would know that God will give him what he needs without stealing. But he thinks, no, he really needs a new car. And it could be that he really doesn't need a new car.
And why does he just get a job and get credit? And
Can't get a job. Can't get a job. Can't get credit.
Get credit.
Can't get credit. His credit is somebody cheated him. They gave him a bunch of bad checks. Right? He bought a lot of. He had a store, and somebody bought all the goods that he had, and he sold the whole thing, and he gave him bad checks. And now comes along the supplier, and he says, "Can you pay me for the things?" I said, "I can't. I have bad checks. I can't. What am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do." And he has to go bankrupt. Now he has no credit, right? And he wants to feed his family. Doesn't know what to do, so he goes and he steals. If he would really believe in God, then he wouldn't steal. Right? Maybe he would go around collect charity. Maybe who knows what. He would figure something out. He wouldn't steal. Or he would steal exactly only what he wanted, a loaf of bread or something. And they would have mercy on him. He sees he can't stand to see his children. Or he would tell the store owner, my children are starving, I want to take a loaf of bread. He would do something. But he wouldn't steal. Why? Because in fact, we say in our prayers, God is Zan u'Mafarnes Takal. God really provides for everybody. Of course, you can bring all sorts of cases that there were famines and the people died from famine in what it was called, in Stalingrad and things like that when the Nazis attacked. Millions of people died. But God provides for you. Don't worry. God provides in the most miraculous ways.
Rabbi,
we're all here.
I want to say.
We're all here because of miracles.
But
That's all.
It's not just that. If you don't eat, you're gonna die. It doesn't matter if you're big or small. You have to eat.
But God provides food.
Yep.
Good. Let's go. Hine tachlit yuridat neshama. The soul is down here in the world in order to refine the animal soul. The call amidot ra'ot, that all bad character traits both come mimena, from it, from the animal soul. What is the animal soul in one word? What's the animal soul in one word? 2-letter word for the animal soul. Me. Me. When a person says me, he's referring to his animal soul. Animal soul is not a nice word, but that's the fact. That's the fact. The fact of the matter is we are like animals. We live in the world. We react to whatever happens in the world, right? And once in a while, our godly soul has an effect on us. If a person refines his animal soul, which that's what God wants you to be yourself. He wants you to have a personality. He wants you to, but it has to be refined. V'kal ikri inyanim avoda. Please close the window. Can you please close the window? And you can turn on the air conditioner. I'm sorry? Oh, wow, it's very late. I'm sorry. I didn't see what time it is. I'm sorry, it's late. It's late. The